That I am live. Whoa, microphone is all the way over there. Let me pull it over. How are you all doing? It's 10:30 p.m., 10:34 p.m. Japan Standard Time. My name is Hiko Zaiman. Great to see you all. I hope you've been having a good week. I have, yeah, I must admit, I've had a bit of a weird week. I've had this really annoying thing, actually, which I got during the marathon training, and I think it might just be from dehydration. Uh, my tongue is really sore. I keep getting these like sensitive sort of sores on my tongue, and I've just got another one tonight, and it means when I talk, everything went pretty well on the circum. Whoops! I just bumped the mic, the mute button on the mic. I recovered pretty well over the 2 days or so after that. Oh, one sec, I've got to close the door. But on Wednesday, I got a norovirus. So I was projectile vomiting and projectile other things on Wednesday night. I'm pretty much over that now, but I think the body is just recovering from everything at the moment. So not 100% this week. But yeah, it was nice to actually go on and do a DJ set last night, just of all the new music that I didn't that I bought, but I hadn't played over the last 2 weeks. So it was nice to do that last night, and thanks for all the people that joined. And nice to see so many people in here. Oh, and one step forward, two steps back. But Kubra Stinchi, I finally loaded all of your music that you sent me into the iPad. So I'll be able to do that in the after party tonight with the AI stuff, which I'm looking forward to being able to do. DJ Sunny Side Up, I owe you a message back still. Definitely up to see you on March 20. In fact, um, yes, if I was better organized, it's been a crazy week, but I will announce something certainly in the show next week on. I think it'd be cool to do a meetup at the same time, but let's message about that and figure out a plan. I don't have a plan yet. I just haven't been able to get anything done like that this week, so I'm sorry about that. But definitely up for seeing you in Tokyo on March 20th. So looking forward to that, and probably if there's other people around in Tokyo, I know there's a few people who watch around in Tokyo. It would be nice to do a little bit of a meetup if we're all cool with that. So I will definitely look out to do that. Um, and yeah, I'm just this with the lighting. It looks a bit dark on this one side. I've got the camera placed on a slightly different angle than usual. I've actually updated the background there. Maybe you can see to put my Tokyo Marathon medal there. I'm just going to see if I can brighten it up. This is part of what I was just playing with before the show. Should be able to get a little bit better exposure than this. That might be too much, but yeah. Oh, that looks a lot better. Looks a little bit Return of the Jedi with the settings before. Anyway, so with all of that said, all those caveats that I'm not 100%, but definitely feeling a lot better. I haven't run this week. Maybe that's part of it. I'm feeling like I should get back into exercise because already it's been great to rest for a week after running 6 days a week for so long. But at the same time, I should get into the next phase. Great to see Mage Goes X there in the chat, followed by DJ Sunny Side Up. Great to see you. Believe in yourself, the third first person here. I think that's the right way to describe it. Great to see you as always. May the 4th. Oh, 4th coming up, of course, a couple of months away. I was just thinking, wait, is it already May the 4th? But of course, it's not. Cobra Station, great to see you as always, however. Yes, Void Theft, glad that you could make it. Who else we got in here? Lots of people rocking in here early as soon as I set it up. That's great. We've got Sadiq in here. Great to see you, Sadiq. Who else is in here? We've got Brad F. Boom. Tadom. Boom. Great to see you, by the way. I think I said this last week, but great to see you at the marathon. By the way, I did actually. I should figure out some way to share these. I think I can share my Instagram feed on this window here. I can show. I got some sort of pro photos. In fact, maybe if I just share my Facebook. Let's do that. I think I can do this. I got like the official 20 uh I got the official photos which I shared. So these are I'll actually what should I do here? I should make this full screen and show you the official photos that I got. That's not the right way to do that. How should I do this? I think, yeah, I picked out what I thought were the best photos from the uh, marathon. In fact, I'm going to actually open these up. But yeah, actually, Tadon was the only person who actually sent me some photos of me running, which I really appreciated. So that was really, really cool. And I actually just got the official photos, which I paid for from Tokyo Marathon. And yeah, they got some really, really cool photos. So I'm going to show those in a moment, actually, because yeah, it's pretty cool. Here we go. So okay, let's do this. I'm going to share this window and I'm going to stop sharing screen and I am going to present a window share screen. Window, boom, boom. And I'm going to do this. So I'll actually just talk you through. Yeah, it was really, really cool. So I made a point. If you've seen the video of when I was going around the loops at the end of certain sections of the run, I was always making a point of two things. Well, one, you could see that here's where I was actually videoing myself, and there were signs saying photos here. So I was making a point of waving dramatically and posing every time, partly just to sort of keep my own spirits up. I was thinking, oh yeah, make sure they get a good photo of me every time we went around. But yeah, these are some really cool photos. That was in Asakusa, I think, or was this Monzen Nakacho? This was like the first place. And let's see what they got next. So yeah, every time I saw a camera, I made a point of throwing up peace signs and flexing the guns. And these all worked out pretty well. This one I'm particularly proud of, apart from the fact this should be like the the two great towers of Tokyo. My Tokyo Tower with the Zabudai Hills sitting behind it, and over here, some guy doing. I was asked if I was dabbing in this photo. I was not. I was. This is my version of a Hulk Hogan victory pose, only much skinnier. But yeah, I love this photo actually, even though it is of myself. But yeah, that is too zoomed out. How do I go to the next one? Boom. So yeah, animated version Tokyo Marathon. At the finish line, there's a whole bunch of cameras around the finish line. So yeah, that was me sort of crossing it, throwing up peace signs, but not really able to think about much else at that time. But this is pretty cool. And this was actually from the start. There were cameras at the start. I didn't even realize they were there taking photos. This is kind of cool. You can sort of see me and three other guys crossing at the same time. One thing that I'm pretty happy about, honestly, is you can see on the starting these letters. See, this guy's got a D and this guy's got a D, C. This person's F. F reflects the starting block that you started. So I started for runners who are aiming for 3 hours 50. Which all these other people were people aiming for 3 hours 30, 3 hours 20, or whatever. So the fact that almost everyone around me here has got like a D or a C, it reflects that I actually started out in about 30,000th position and finished in 6,000th. So I was pretty much overtaking people the entire race, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you can see all these people with letters showing that they started in earlier blocks than me, which meant it took me eight and a half minutes to get to the start line. Mick Jagger pose. But this is actually, I think, my favorite photo of the entire set. There's a thing in Japan as well that's also true. If you've ever been to a concert or a big sort of event with lots of people, there's a thing. Japanese people, I think it happens anywhere that, like if you're going across the road and people start to run, other people copy other people or whatever. I remember I used to notice when you go to a concert or something, when you start waving your hands, people behind you will start waving your hands the same way and copying your actions. Like you can actually kind of control people, and it's always kind of fun how yeah, when you start going yeah like this, everyone else who's been quiet will kind of everybody in Japan reads the signals. And so I don't know, there's a few moments like this. I had no idea that all these people, no one in front of me was waving their hands. I don't care. I mean, I'm half Australian, so yeah, I'm gonna go yeah. But I see this photo and all these people behind me are doing the same sort of pose. It's really, really, really cool. So I love this photo. Again, this was near the start of the race, which is why everyone still looks happy. But yeah, this is a really good photo. I really, really, I would actually make this. I mean, it's of myself, so would it be weird to make it a poster? I don't know, but just the fact that, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, other than the fact it's, you know, I'm happy to see a photo of myself doing this. It's also just cool to see all the people enjoying it the same way. Me recording a video again. I think I must have been recording videos around the checkpoint, around the milestones. That's why so many of these times I was definitely not running the whole thing holding my iPhone. Thank heavens I didn't drop it either, but there we go. This was definitely, I know when I was doing this was I think the final hip and the final cutback. This was about at about 37.5 kilometers. So I was done here, but I was throwing up thumbs, but I was too tired to even look at the photo thing, even though I knew it was there. This was more at the start, but yeah. Anyway, it was lots of fun. Here's right at the end. I'm not looking at cameras at all. I am just trying to get, I'm completely just trying to get to the finish at this point. But this was through the gated area after the finish line. That's me in pain. This is pretty, yeah, no, this isn't the final cutback actually, but I look tired. Maybe this is the final cutback. I don't know. But yeah, you can sort of see. And this is the beginning. I didn't actually realize this at the time, but okay, I'm over here. Still in a good mood, as you can see. And then I'm pretty sure is Yuriko Koike over there. I think that's the governor of Tokyo. I didn't even notice she was there. I was just, all you bastards get out of my way, was pretty much how I was feeling at the time. But yeah, there you go. And finish line. He's the same, me and the other three guys crossing the finish line. This is actually a good photo. I don't know, as you can see, they were taking it from different angles, but yeah, I don't know. I like this photo as well. And it's kind of cool. I was quite happy to pay for these. Skytree, getting a little bit tired at this point. He's me looking at that guy saying, what are you so happy about? This is honestly, I do remember this point as well. This was about the 25-kilometer mark, which is about when I started to feel not comfortable anymore, which is a long way to go, actually. It was like more than half marathon, but yeah, and that was at the finish line, in the finishing area, when they gave me my finishers medal that I was very, very happy about. So anyway, those are all the photos I got of the race, but I was very happy with that. So just sharing, just remembered that I got that. Seeing Tudom reminded me actually. So yeah, let me come back to the main window. Who else we got in here? Nice to see you, Tudom. That was a very long way of saying hello. Aaron, great to see you. As always, nice to have a moderator back in the chat as usual. Got Lara in the chat. Good evening, everyone. Technical issues. Yes, sorry, I was a couple of minutes late. I was tidying up and trying to get final, trying to get the final stories and stuff all decided. Time change. Have you had daylight saving? That's another thing that I must admit. Yeah, I don't miss that. It seems early actually to be having daylight saving, although the days are definitely getting longer now. Aaron, too many South Skittles for this? Possibly. Audio comes and goes. Oh, really? Has the audio been coming and going the whole time? There's one time when I bumped the mute. Hopefully it's just that and I haven't been talking this whole time. Oh God, actually, I've just realized now I'm just catching up to this. Is my sound still coming in and out? Can someone comment right now if my sound is still dropping in and out? But yeah, Lara's in Tokyo, so there'll be other people. Mark it in your calendar. It's a public holiday, March 20. I will try to set something up if Sunny's cool with it, so we can do some sort of a meetup. Athens half marathon today, 25,000. That'd be pretty cool, especially in Athens. The thing about Tokyo is it's like dead flat, so it is a relatively easy run. Athens, I'm sure, would be very hilly. quickly checking about sound. Sound is good, Kerberos Techi. Thank you for that. Yeah, I bumped the mute thing on the mute button on the microphone at one point. That was the problem. Yeah, they are cool official picks, right? I was very happy about that. Electric Show Orchestra. Oh, we've got a name I don't recognize. This is pretty cool. Is that Gainch or L Gainch? I don't know how to pronounce that, but yes, it's been an eternity since you've called me. Yeah, I don't know if you've changed your username since then, but great to see you, and welcome to the chat, and thank you for saying hello. I do appreciate it, and thank you for the congratulations. I do appreciate it. Running Man, yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I actually, yeah, I think I did a whole Running Man spiel at one point when I realized that the whole movie was predicated on deep fakes existing and everybody completely believing them, which is a slight flaw perhaps in the original story, even though it's a cool movie. But yeah, not grandma though. Didn't overtake grandma. There were a number of grandmas and a vegan who I overtook and then overtook me, and I couldn't catch her up again because I was getting slower. And those vegetables, I tell you what, eat your broccoli. She proved it to everybody. So we did all of that. New Zealand. Wait. There's a correction of something to do with what we're saying there. Running Man. New Zealand. Yes, I am from New Zealand. Anyway, where's Waldo? It's a bit like that. Yes. The governor of Tokyo is also a closet fan. She's not. She's out of the closet completely as a fan of me, I'm sure. Even though, yeah, Yuriko, stop chopping down all those trees in Guyane, okay? But yes, according to ChatGPT, I am a New Zealander. Oh, ChatGPT knows who I am. That's interesting. It's probably it's no doubt scraped that from one of the sites where I put on a simple bio, but that's pretty cool. Not to be confused with that. I am. That's right. I am a New Zealander. Blue Steel. I think I did have a bit of a Blue Steel look in some of the marathon photos, but yes, indeed. We've got Sadiq asking what Lara thinks about espresso macchiato. Macchiato? And Lara doesn't drink coffee. There we go. DJ Sunny side up, down to meet me. Did I get your DM? I didn't get your. I haven't had anything from you since February 10, which I need to respond to. I got your message on Instagram to check Facebook messages, but I haven't seen anything on Facebook, Sunny. So actually, I'm sorry, I haven't responded back. I was shouting out on the DJ live stream last night that I need to get back to you. So just had a busy day, but yeah. Anyway, I think we're caught up. Everyone said hello. If you haven't said hello, please say hello. If you haven't liked the video already, please go ahead and like. I do appreciate that. Let's dive into the topics. I had to go and check these out sort of at the last minute. But boom, let's take a look at what we have. I just did a scan myself again this week. Between having a norovirus for a couple of days and marathon recovery, I was not keeping up that much with the news. Of course, all the American stuff. America is just ridiculous at the moment. I love you, America, but you're stupid. You know, I don't know how. Are America the baddies now? Seriously, America are like the perennial goodies, and I don't know. It's like America's now on the side of Russia. I don't understand what anything means anymore. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm trying not to look too much at the news because it makes me sad. But someone asking about me, yeah, I'm half Australian. My mother is Australian. Oh, yes. My mum is Australian. My dad is Fijian, actually. My father is a naturalized New Zealander, but he's actually British citizen. He was born in Fiji when it was to a British parent. But technically, my dad was born in Fiji, which is I think is kind of cool. I get to kind of claim I'm like half Fijian, half Australian, but I'm a New Zealander. And right now I'm wearing my hometown's old rugby jersey from a couple of years ago, Auckland Blues. Oh, I've also been meaning to replace my Auckland Blues backdrop here, which is just to cover up an ugly white box, honestly, to give it some color. I've been meaning to figure out the right way to get one of my Tokyo 2020 marathon towels to put there. They're a bit of a dark color, but yes, I'll figure out a way to. You'll probably see a color update. Even though I do kind of like that color, it makes it bright. Whereas the Tokyo Marathon stuff that I have is all kind of dark. But you'll see. Anyway, I'll do an update to that. But yeah, my mum is definitely Australian. Um, yeah, America, America, I love you. Please, please stop it. That's the summary of international news. But what's happening here? Is this all Chat GPT? Striking balance, avoid sensationalism. Is that believe in yourself? Is that your summary, or is that mine, or is that what Chat GPT says? It's very whoever's saying it is very very nice and obviously very intelligent. Um, but yeah, so going into the news that we do have, just going in reverse order, nothing really earth shattering in terms of what I'm covering. But one thing that's happening is although Japan is definitely catching it a lot less than like Canada, for example, the real enemies of America. Again, my brain hurts even just to say this, but yes, the orange one has declared that Japan's cheap yen, which is of course making travel here wonderfully affordable for all of you guys, and makes going to America suck for me, and which I like America. I want to go to America, so I did actually, you know what? I did find myself this week agreeing with Trump on something. He said that Japan's cheap yen is a, trade is a sort of the manipulated currency, making the yen artificially cheap to make exports to America cheaper. And if Japan doesn't increase the value of the yen, then America is going to put on tariffs or retaliatory measures or whatever. To which the markets all responded that the US dollar has been going down and the yen jumped up its highest rate in 5 months. It got into the 140s. And just for a moment, I went, Trump, Trump. I don't know. It's like I'm kind of torn because I get paid in some stock, which is in US dollars. So I do benefit by my stock all being in USD. And hell, maybe I should be selling that now. But at the same time, US dollar is ridiculously overpriced, and I am just sad when I'm in America because of it. And I am going to be going to for anyone interested, I will be going to Seattle in September probably. So yeah, I would appreciate if the exchange rate was sane by then. I mean, even 149 is still nuts. It should be 105 to 110. Just going by the price of a Big Mac or a glass of water. Everything is just so ridiculously out of whack at the moment. So the one thing is Trump threatening Japan. I mean, it feels like we're back in the 1980s and 70s with the whole car thing, which is very much where Trump is on trade with Japan. But yeah, he fired out some threats, and everyone just freaked out, and the yen suddenly got stronger. So that's probably a good thing. So I am enjoying that. Um, but yes, checking out the comments. Another one. Apparently, Qantas. Qantas has had its own problems over the years. They actually stopped Qantas flights from Tokyo to Queensland to Brisbane, which is the town where my mum lives, where I go pretty much every year. They actually have the largest and best Japanese language program of any university in the world, pretty much in the southern hemisphere, anyway, outside of Japan. And yeah, Gold Coast is like a major tourist destination for Japanese. And Qantas, the national carrier of Australia, was in such economic problems that they actually stopped flights going to like Australia's, I think, number 3 city. So they've got those flights back. But I didn't realize with so many Australians going to Niseko for skiing, that they hadn't been flying directly into Hokkaido, but they are going to be resuming flights between Australia and Hokkaido. And what was interesting about this story for me was that the reason they had stopped the flights was that there's been so much increasing demand for flights like from China and Korea to Hokkaido for tourism and stuff. And the Chitose airport in Sapporo just doesn't have the facilities to be able to, doesn't have the staff or facilities or fuel to be able to handle the extra planes. So apparently, this is something that's actually a reflection of the airport's introduction of new ground handling capabilities, that they're actually upgraded the airport to be able to handle more flights. So Yeah, yeah. I guess this means there'll be more flights straight to Hokkaido. I would love to go to. I've only been to Hokkaido like twice, including one time was just overnight to sleep. So only really one proper trip, and where I went to the far west side of the island to Lake Akan. I haven't been to Sapporo before, so I'd love to go up there myself. Although I suppose. Oh, and this actually reminds me of another thing. I was catching up on some YouTube videos over the weekend, and I saw two excellent videos from. I keep mentioning it's a reflection of how good she is at this. There's an Australian YouTuber mentioned before, currently Hannah. You know, you should all be subscribed to her. She makes excellent videos, and she promotes pretty much like out of the way tourism. But she also she was actually featuring running like a trail race, but like 30 kilometers running through the mountains, much harder than what I did. That she ran a race in, but she did a separate video talking about the you know her view on the people talking about over tourism in Japan, and she made some really, really, really great points about over tourism in Japan. She pointed out that she worries herself when she promotes a sort of unspoiled location that if the world gets out about these locations, that they'll become overwhelmed with tourists. But at the same time, the things that cause the feeling of over tourism in Japan basically are a combination of how compact the areas with the built up areas are. Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, all these cities are basically, pressed up against mountains and are very, very dense cities. And she sort of pointed out that all the places where people complain about over tourism, it's primarily places where there is good access and accessibility. And anything that requires getting in a car for like 30 or 40 minutes that she sort of recommends, where she's been afraid that they might become over tourism or over touristed, they don't, mainly because of the accessibility. So, Japan definitely still has a tourist management problem, but at the same time, problems with if you're planning your own trips to Japan, it's something to note. If something's really easy to get to by subway or bus or train, um, chances are it's going to be really, really overcrowded. But if you actually make some extra effort, and in turn, if prefectures want to attract tourism, or if the government wants to do some more things to manage tourism better, which says the government is doing. Mainly, she reckons that the main problem is just making sure things are accessible. She actually highlighted the case of the famous Lawson with the view of Mount Fuji and where they had to make a wall. And she pointed out it wasn't like people were driving to the middle of nowhere to go to this Lawson to take this photo, which is kind of what I believed. She said the problem is that Lawson is right in front of like the train station and the bus stop where everybody gets out when they go to visit Mount Fuji. And it's the first convenience store that they see. That's why everybody takes the photos there. So, the point is, both as a tourist, you can avoid over tourism spots if you plan to go a little bit more off the beaten trail, and also the government can manage it better otherwise. It was a really, really great video. So I do recommend, as I've recommended before, subscribing to Currently Hannah on YouTube. And yeah, great to see that there are more international flights, that Australians can fly straight up to Niseko and pay, $30 for a cup of coffee. Um, pay 5,000 yen for a cup of coffee and not increase the prices in Tokyo on the way. They can just go straight up to Hokkaido and do that up there. That's a win-win. So that's a pretty good thing. Aaron talking about Lara loves Currently Hannah, as do I. We've got Believe in Yourself, Aaron, Japanophiles plus non. Okay, I've got to go backwards here. I've got people talking about Japanophiles. DJ Sunny Side Up, do you hear crow? No, there's somebody having a sneezing fit in the house that you can hear, not a crow. Black Tingu doesn't understand why there are no direct flights between Athens and Tokyo. I would be all for flights between Athens and Tokyo. In fact, I would love to go to Greece for a trip. I know people have been, they do the standard Greek things, but, for me, it would be pretty much the Acropolis, eating lamb, and Santorini. I don't know what else there is, but that sounds like a pretty good trip. I mean, just the islands and stuff. Yeah. All of that stuff. So, I'm pretty sure that you could sell trips pretty well if there were direct flights. When I went to Croatia, we had to go through Austria for that. I don't know how. Well, I wonder what the trip to Athens would be, where you connect through for that flight. But yeah, Japanophilia sounds so cringe. It does. I was curious about how that came up, so I was just looking back. By the way, Ken Cat, great to see you. Trump and broken clocks are occasionally correct. The J Vlog, yo, 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 great to see you in the chat as well. Oh, got more people rocking in the chat. I do appreciate that. During the Middle Eve likes, everybody, and great to see you as always in the chat. Come to South Florida. I would love to go to South Florida. It's right beside Seattle. I think I can hitchhike there. That'd be. I would love to do it. I would really love to go to South Florida because I want to see a rocket launch, which I guess is North Florida technically. But I really thought about taking a week off when I was there for my stint before. I wasn't organized enough to do it, City. But Florida is seriously on my bucket list, especially with the increasing number of rocket launches there. I will 100% one day get down there. Eric Bailey, also great to see you that you made it. Did I talk about Honda Keisuke being a person yet? No, I did not. What did he do this time? You're talking about the soccer guy. Well, what did he do? I've not been keeping up with the news. I'm sure you'll keep up with me. Japanophilia, a strong interest in Japanese culture. So sorry, where did the topic come up with? Believe in yourself was saying something. Oh, does this say that I'm a Japanophile? More about documenting Archive of Life, which gives a timeless quality. I do appreciate that again. I don't know if I'm a Japanophile per se. I mean, I'm certainly not. Japanophilia does sound like it's a slight mental disorder. And it gets used that way. Aaron talking about strong interest in Japanese culture and history. Yes, I'm glad you. Thanks everybody for not using the term weeb yet. I don't know how that happened. Oh, by the way, that does remind me. Another good video that I saw today was Dogen talking about his the advice he gives to people coming to Japan. The same advice a lot of us give, which is while I understand the urgency of getting here, but one, Japan will not fix problems that you already had. People who have teenagers who feel like they don't belong where they are and get this overly idealized view of Japan. Coming to Japan is not going to solve your problems, and coming to Japan without having like non-Japan related skills to fall back on and to use here means you could be getting yourself into a trap. Those were the essence of what he said on his video today. Again, a really, really good video. He talks a lot about this, and he says this from the perspective of having done that himself. And how he sort of disadvantaged himself for a time when he came to Japan. But he characterized himself in that video very much as a weeb who kind of rushed to get to Japan and probably came without the proper preparation, which put him behind for later on. But yeah, Aaron continues, however. In Japanese, Shinichi, and Nichi meaning Japan, yeah, Shinichi in Korea is considered, that term Shinichi or Shinichika in Korean, the Korean equivalent, is considered the equivalent of being a neo-Nazi. It's a slanderous term that left-wingers use against right-wingers who say that, oh, your granddad is probably a collaborator. But you have to understand, the word literally is friendly towards Japan. Those characters are friendly Japan. Being Japan friendly in Korea is, I mean, at the moment, it's being used as one of the articles of impeachment of the president. For all the guy carried out a military coup and he likes Japan. Is literally being a weeaboo is kind of like, at least politically to the left, is a crime in South Korea. The irony was when the left wing decided to capitalize on the image that right wingers are all like the nepo babies of collaborators. Then they did a huge investigation. Okay, let's unlock all the secret police files of whose granddaddy collaborated with the Japanese. It turned out it wasn't just the right wingers, it was the left wingers, it was the right wingers. Everybody collaborated with the Japanese. And everybody got very traumatized and they shut down the whole thing. So the whole exercise kind of backfired. But yes, indeed, Shinichi politically is literally a collaborator, a pro-collaborator term in Korea. For people who are anti-Japanese, it's a really loaded term, which is why that term Shinichi, I think in China and Korea, it has really negative connotations, even though it shouldn't. Honestly, it literally just means Japan friendly. But thanks, Wikipedia, indeed. Is Santorini a gay island? It's just guys still all the nice white and blue houses. I mean, nothing wrong with the gays. I'm sure the nightlife there is wonderful. There was a funny phenomenon I remember in Australia of my this really does sum up Australia in so many ways. And what I love about Australia, by the way, this is not a negative summary of Australia, that my straight friends would like this is in the 1990s before internet, would like be swapping intel on where all the gays are going, because all the straight Australians want to go to where all the nightclubs that all the gays are gathering at, because they've got the best atmosphere and the best DJs and the best music. So everyone's like, hey, yeah, I hear the gays, they're all going to be gathering at this pub, on such and such a night. So yeah, let's go there. It's going to be a really great atmosphere. And apparently there's this phenomenon in Brisbane in the late 1990s of the gay community secretly trying to set up club events where straight people wouldn't like crash their parties and like ruin it with their straightness. And believe me, I'm pretty sure the whole nation of Australia would happily go to Santorini just for the nightlife if they found out it was a gay island. I was not familiar with that, but I don't know. They got lamb and good photos. I'm sold on that. Uh, Only 12 likes, are scaring. Damn straight. DJ Sunny said, would I ever want to own a Tesla? I think I talked about this when I was in America. I drove a bunch of Teslas in America before I found out that they were like Hitler cars. But yeah, they are fun cars to drive. I mean, they're kind of a one-trick pony. You get on the highway, if you want to overtake someone, or you want to, red light, you want to go the zero. Even the base version of the Model 3 can get from 0 to 100 faster than like a Ferrari F40. You literally have the aircraft carrier takeoff mode, and then you get into the dual motor ones, and it's literally violent. After the dual motor Model X, the SUV, I was like, I don't even need to drive the S anymore. I'm kind of like, and in the end, I enjoyed the Corvette more than I enjoyed the Teslas, just because they're just pure violent acceleration. Um, Look, I think, you know what? No, no. And there's two halves to that. As an electric car, they make a lot of noise. They're really rattly and windy. When you're on the highway, you could barely talk to people in the car with you. You think electric cars are silent because it's an electric motor. The motor's silent, but the rest of the car is like screaming and rattling and banging. You can hardly. So they're kind of not well made. They're cool. They are cool, but they're not that well made. And I'm pretty sure that you could probably. I remember I drove a V6 Toyota Camry like a week after driving a Tesla, and realizing that the Camry was much quieter and much better range. The range anxiety thing is real. Tesla lies about the range of its, particularly the older cars, where it says you can drive for 200 miles before your next charge, and then you look at it, it says you got 50 miles to go. And there isn't a charger close enough and stuff like that. So the charging network thing is a pain. There are quirks about Teslas that I think I wouldn't own one in Japan just because the charging network isn't there for it. I would consider electric, a well-made electric. Nowadays, I think with what Elon's doing, I'm torn on this because if Elon would just shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ, and just make his rockets and his cars, I might still be into it. But no, it's literally, it's like the Volkswagen without the adorableness. Everyone can look past the fact that the Volkswagen Beetle was, commissioned by Adolf Hitler, because it's an adorable car. We all saw the Herbie movies as kids, and it's a little bit disturbing when you find out that Ferdinand Porsche was best friends with Hitler, and supposedly Hitler even corrected Porsche's designs on the Beetle when it got mass manufactured. There's that, but it's an adorable car, and lots of people drive it, and fine. But right now, the Cybertruck and Elon and everything, I don't think I could really bring myself to it. I'd like to think there'd be better choices. Is my answer to that, DJ Sunny Side Up. But they are fun to drive. The other thing is, in Seattle, I'm not sure I'd be safe driving. When I was in Seattle a few years ago, like 50% of the cars were Teslas. Now 0% of the cars, and I actually worry now in a city like Seattle. I think driving a Tesla, you're probably more likely to get your car vandalized now as a Tesla electric car than you are like on a big like low mileage than driving like a Humvee. So that's the other aspect of it. Honda tweeted that nobody from a foreign country should be able to own land in Japan. Well, that's an opinion. Um, Eric, I agree with your assessment of Honda if that's what he said. Look, Honda on soccer commentary is actually, Japanese sports commentators are terrible. They miss goals while they're reading out the school resume of players who have played and stuff. They're like, little Jimmy, he scored, went to such and such a school, and he scored 2 goals each year on average every game. Oh, 4 minutes ago, he scored a goal, by the way. And, whereas Honda actually commentates on the game, he's entertaining, he's got a sense of humor, he's smart, and he knows the sport. So I like him as a commentator, but if he says stuff like that, it's a bit like what I just said about Teslas. I think you could apply to Honda Keisuke. He's a good commentator, he's a smart guy, he's a funny guy. But yeah, he also shares things in common with it. No, not you too, Honda Keisuke. Don't be a C guy. Don't be that. Don't be a Konyo. Dan H, good to see you. Yoji has flown to USA. Yoji, which Yoji? Yoji has flown to USA. I don't know which Yoji we're talking about. I probably should, but I'm a bit behind it at the moment. The Urban Dictionary, indeed. Basically, some gaijin go home kind of, ugh, yes. DJ Sunny set up. What is something that I want to try in the US this time? I haven't thought about it yet. I haven't thought about it. I mean, if I had a blank slate to go to America and just do it, party. I think I'd like to go to. I literally like to go to Florida and drive around the South. I really would, like, just for the food and the culture. Just hearing that it's such a different part of America and that I haven't been to, like driving between Florida and Texas and going through those sort of states through Louisiana and and even like Tennessee, Alabama, stuff like that. Basically, Smokey and the Bandit. I want to do Smokey and the Bandit, except I think he was driving north. I want to go to Florida, but yeah, yeah, that's what I'd like to do. But going to Seattle, I did discover America is actually quite big. Even when I'm looking at a map, and I'm like, oh, Seattle to Astoria, where they made the Goonies. That's just a few hours. That'll be an easy drive. It was not an easy drive. Those are long, long drives. But I'd love to do a big road trip like that if I ever get the chance. I'd also love to surf again. Um, Remember, if you do fly to South Korea, it will fix you if you like Johnny Somali. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's right. It's Johnny Somali enjoying the hospitality of the Korean justice system. I believe still at the moment. They are Hitler cars. There's a movie, I forget the name of the movie, but there's like a family road trip movie where there's like a father who like hates Volkswagens because he tells his family, remember, those are Hitler cars. You mustn't like those cars. And it all builds up to a terrible, terrible, cringy joke at the end. But yeah. Dan H, how many Chinese EVs do I see on the road? Chinese EVs are now the best on the road. In Japan, not zero, not zero, but I've probably seen less than five. And I'm pretty sure every single one of them was probably owned by someone at the Chinese embassy or something. Ikebukuro and Yokohama, there are two big Chinese neighborhoods. I mean, remember, Chinese are a massive minority in Japan. I think they're the biggest group of foreigners. In a way, given that, it's surprising that there aren't perhaps more. I did see them on the roads in Australia. It is great to see that there's a country producing great quality, innovative cars. I do have a slight irrational paranoia about the cameras and everything. The civility that they have on the cars and so on. But hey, if they make good enough competitive cars, I do also subscribe to a whole bunch of YouTube channels that review electric cars, and I see the reviews of the Chinese cars, and I think now what they're saying generally about the Chinese cars is that the build quality now, the comfort and the build quality and the features and everything is now very much up to the level of competing European, American, Japanese, Korean cars. The ride, apparently, because Chinese are making the cars basically to sit in traffic jams and to be comfortable driving in China. So they're not really made for driving aggressively on country roads and stuff like that. So apparently the ride and handling characteristics and so on, as well as sometimes the software isn't well adapted for Western roads, but they've got smart people, so I'm sure they'll adapt all of that. But the fact that they've come up from being OEMs, where foreign manufacturers would just manufacture parts for their cars, to now making complete cars that look really good. I mean, the Xiaomi car, the smartphone car. I've got a Xiaomi phone. Apple was going to make a car and they gave up. Sony said they're going to make a car and it took them 6 years longer than they thought. Xiaomi said that they're going to make a car, and 1 year later they've got like an awesome, very positively reviewed car. So, I mean, China, they made my keyboard. They they're good at making stuff, and this is one of these things when America says we're gonna stop China from getting good at manufacturing stuff. Um, I think it's a little bit too late, even on semiconductors. I mean, if they do with semiconductors like what they did with cars, at this point, a lot of American and European countries don't have the ability to machine tools for manufacturing that they're now so dependent on China for. China's so good at making stuff, so you don't see them in Japan. But and you know what? I think Japan will be one of the final places where they'll take off. For the same reason you don't see Korean cars in Japan. They're right here, but no one in Japan wants to drive a Korean car. There's definitely a bit of nationalism in that, but certainly in Australia you see them and they're good cars. So yeah. This show needs to be longer than an hour to get to the news. I think you're right. I haven't gotten to the news at all. I'm enjoying the comments, so this is the best part of it. Ida, you think the Cybertrucks really contributed to Tesla's bad reputation? Well, I've heard that in America there are people even who do engine swaps, where they'll swap out the electric motor and put one of those big rolling coal diesel engines into Cybertrucks, which seems appropriate. I mean, that's what I think he probably needs to get to. Hey, BDBGP, great to see you in here. Yes, our community. You're just so good. Seattle's just for hipsters now. Uh, yeah, it's not even just hipsters, actually. Honestly, it's become a kind of a quasi Silicon Valley town. It's an interesting vibe. It is very left wing though. So yeah, Seattle's proof of social engineering. I've spent a lot of time in Seattle. I can tell you that no, it's proof of social anarchy. I think it's what happens when you let, frankly, a whole bunch of hippies just run a city, and they have no idea what to do. It's not engineered. It's as is America in general. It's just not organized at all. It's the chaos that makes America successful. But yeah. Xiaomi, there we go. The SU7. Shubas is here. Great to see you, Shubas. Better late than never indeed. Okay, I'm going to get into the topics because I'm getting called out by the moderator and we've got 10 minutes to go. And I think I've only covered that flights from between Australia and Hokkaido are starting and the yen is getting stronger. Okay, I've covered 2 topics. Let's go. Power around. Apparently, March, it was like snowing. We had proper snow in Tokyo like a day after a 20-degree sunny marathon. Thank heavens it was 20 degrees Celsius, which is what, about 75, 76, 80 or something. I think it's actually about 80 Fahrenheit. And 2 days later it was snowing. Crazy. So, we've got hay fever season, we've got crazy weather, we've got all of that sort of stuff. And as a result, they have advice for how you make sure people get fatigue, they get sick, they get tired. And the doctor here suggested that, and you sort of get stressed because it's the start of the corporate year, the end of the fiscal year, all of that. So tons of people feel sick this time of year. They feel cold. They're getting hot and cold. They're getting stressed out. They're getting allergies. So a doctor, an expert on coldness and discomfort. Does anyone go to a doctor for coldness and discomfort? Well, I mean, I guess elderly people. But yes, stress, temperature fluctuations, sleep quality, changes in job duties, job transfers all cause all of this. He suggests wrap your stomach warm, and I think I saw something else about drinking water. Anyway, do all of that. Japanese, 80% of people in Japan support murder. They support killing people. They support the death penalty, so long as they're not the ones that have to do it. A lot of justice ministers don't want to kill people, but not going to get rid of it anytime soon because Japan overwhelmingly thinks that while we're not quite into ritual disembowelment anymore, if you do something, and remember the death penalty in Japan only applies to cases of multiple. Typically, I think it has to be at least 2, but I think it's normally like 3 or more murders. So it's a very high bar in Japan. But there you go. Oh, Fukuoka. We're going to have a Fukuoka story every week. A Japan councillor has apparently been warned for saying that women this is a city council, a councillor from Chikushino, which sounds a lot like Chikisho, which means, oh shit, which is a town in Fukuoka. Very conservative part of Japan where Taro Aso is from. Apparently, this is the Taro Aso, the GAF Prime Minister of Japan, comes from a prefecture where this councillor came from, where he said that women who can't bear children are defective, and on top of that also apparently said that men who are not married shouldn't be talking about birth rate policies. And he felt up some other female colleagues who claim sexual harassment. And he said, "Oh, it was all just a joke. I must have just brushed their shoulder. If I cause any misunderstandings, I'll be more careful." Yeah, yeah, Fukuoka, you keep doing you. Um, the whole thing I've talked about how Japan, some people saying it'll damage children irreparably if their parents have different surnames. I pointed out all international marriages in Japan by default are separate foreign surnames. Mainichi pointing out that there are also common law. They call it common law marriages. Like in New Zealand, you'd say de facto, just people who are not officially married, but basically de facto married. They exist and their kids are not traumatized. And psychologists saying again that the government are being dicks about the separate surname thing. Honda Keisuke, I don't know if he had anything. Japan, maybe the government listened to him because Japan is going to tighten restrictions on foreigners buying farmland. When you see this, and honestly, even when you talk about Keisuke, yeah, they're saying this, but basically they're really targeting. They're worried about like China, like in an organized way, taking over Japanese agriculture. Um, so the restrictions will be that you have to have proof that you're actually living in Japan and that you're actually yourself doing the farming for 150 days a year. It has to be approved by local agriculture co-ops, which, by the way, I've talked about the Japanese agricultural system. It is full on. It is not even, I called it Stalinist, which is maybe a little bit hyperbolic, but it's not very hyperbolic. It's basically an old-fashioned Soviet-style management of agriculture, which means that literally all the local community has to vote on whether you're a good enough foreigner to own a bit of land there. And these committees will start blocking acquisitions by foreign citizens whose residency status is set to expire soon. So I think if you're, I could probably still buy a farm. Well, except I'd have to prove that I was such a good old boy that I'd actually have to go and participate in all the stuff, which would stop me, But in all the local activities and so on. But as a permanent resident, they've kind of done it in a way that it's not gonna stop foreign residents, but it is gonna stop foreign powers from buying up land, and that's what people are worried about. That sucks. You love to buy tea farm in Japan. It just means there's more barriers. But if you wanted to do it through a management company or something like that, there are ways that you can do it, but you'd have to negotiate, as you would honestly if you were just living here with a local co-op. For what it's worth, I know some foreigners, or at least half. So I guess they get in as Japanese citizens to do it. Now that I think about it, but even as a Japanese, it's hard to get permission to buy a farm and to run it, and so on. But there you go. Nagoya, another local high court in Japan rules that denying registration of marriage for both people being the same sex is unconstitutional, which is a point that while Japan is criticized in some corners for discriminating against same-sex marriage, there is a kind of a position being taken by a lot of courts in Japan that actually Japan doesn't discriminate. The definition of marriage in the law doesn't prescribe gender, and a city council person denying a certificate is actually unconstitutional, is the conclusion of a lot of courts in Japan, which is to say, not that you have these maps of Japan of where recognizes same-sex marriage and where doesn't. The courts are now coming to the conclusion that the system never intentionally forbade same-sex marriages to begin with, and it's actually legal everywhere, which is good, and it's what you get in a country which isn't based on confused I just meant to click back. I clicked back on the wrong window. Sorry about that. Let me get this back on track here. Present. I've got 3 more minutes. Going to power through. Share screen. I clicked on the wrong thing. Technical issue. It's a feature of the show. Japan. We've had 2 probes land on the moon this week. Both awesome. Both did awesome. Both landed successfully. Well, one of them landed very successfully. You could even see the shadow of the probe landing, which was really, really cool. But you could, by the way, back everyone. The other one landed on its side. Another thing that's happened recently, and inside there was a Japanese little robot rover that was going to go out and go scooting around like a radio control car on the surface, which would have been super cool, and it was working, but the thing landed on its side and lost power and died. So that's a shame. But yeah, all of that. Japan, second year in a row. Same story came up last year. In fact, that was from 2024. But yeah, Japan basically is the worst place out of surveyed countries in the OECD for women to work. And the Economist Glass Ceiling Index, probably not surprising. And that is all the stories that I had, actually. So I did get through it on time. There we go. But yeah, getting old does suck. That is true. Sorry, I hit the wrong button before. Yeah. And getting old does indeed suck. Shubis wants to grow tea leaves for matcha. It's a good business at the moment. In fact, I think I saw a story somewhere that the matcha craze overseas and the fact that foreigners are paying insane prices for it means that the places that produce the matcha, in Shizuoka Prefecture and a couple of places in Japan, cannot keep up with the demand, and of course they're favoring now shipping it outside of Japan, causing matcha shortages or the likelihood of matcha shortages inside of Japan. So that is how matcha is a good business. I mean, it's yeah, it could get into a narcos type situation with the matcha the way that things are going. Why don't they land something on Venus again? Asked Black Tengu. Venus is hot. There is actually Electron, the New Zealand space company. So while Musk and NASA and everyone's saying we're going to go to Mars, New Zealand very quietly is doing a deal with NASA where they are going to be flying to Venus, and they are going to be flying around Venus but checking out the atmosphere. But they'll be deploying a probe that will get to the surface and survive on the surface, and this should happen within the next year. And they should be able to figure out if there's actually, even though it's like 500 degrees Celsius, like lead exists in liquid form on the surface of Venus, and the atmosphere is basically pure sulfuric acid. What is super interesting, by the way, about Venus is that, well, so to me, I think they're right to go to Venus before Mars. For one thing, in the upper atmosphere of Venus, if you get to a certain altitude, I think it's like something like 50 kilometers above the surface, the air pressure is the same as being on basically sea level on Earth. The temperatures are the same as being on Earth. It's like 25 degrees. It's like same air pressure as on Earth. The air is still toxic, and you'd have to figure out, you'd have to wear a spacesuit, but it wouldn't have to be pressurized. So there's this idea that if you go like airships that don't dissolve in the sulfuric acid atmosphere, they could literally just float around permanently on Venus, and it would be like it'd be like Cloud City at Empire Strikes Back. They think that they found organic molecules in the cloud, so that's awesome. And you can actually, instead of waiting 2 years to get to Mars, to go to and from Mars when the planets get close enough together, Venus is the opposite. You can go twice a year, every 6 months, you can go to Venus, and it's closer. You can get there faster, you can get back faster. The temperatures are better. There's more sun to begin with. I mean, yes, if you fall into the atmosphere, you would dissolve horribly. But you can actually go visit another planet sooner. You wouldn't be able to go down onto the surface. The air pressure is basically on the surface is something like being in the deep ocean, on top of the fact it's toxic and all those sort of problems. But if you accept the idea of floating on top of the atmosphere, like being in kind of like a permanent airship going around on top and doing science, not even from orbit, just from floating around the planet, I reckon that Venus far and away is a better option. It is hard to create probes that can survive all the way to the surface. The Russian probes did, and they only lasted like an hour or something. But yeah, New Zealand is going to be doing it again soon. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. That's why, and I think they should be going there first. It's so much easier, and you could do that as an intermediate step before going to Mars, if you ask me. So good question, actually. And Black Tengu, I agree with it. Other shortages, all this stuff. This calls for Lando Calrissian. You're damn straight. The guy who plays Lando Calrissian was lobbying to be in the after wasn't the prequels or something. It's like he didn't understand the timeline of his own thing. Anyway, that is it. I am going to be jumping onto the after party, which is coming up. I think Aaron put up the link here. So join me if you want to do that. And thank you for joining me this week. Oh, big news. Mark it in your calendar, Saturday, March 22nd. That's the date we have right now for 2.5 Voyages. Victor has suggested March 22nd. March 23rd, by the way, will be my, 26th Japan anniversary. So that'll be a nice show to do as well. So that weekend will be pretty big. But also meet up on the 20th of March. So I'll have more announcements, more details sorted out. If you follow me on Blue Sky during the week, I'll announce stuff there and on the show next week. But yeah, I'm going to jump off to the after party now. Thank you for keeping me company as always. Thank you for all the distractions and topics, of course, as well. Remember to like the video. I do appreciate it. And boom, peace. See you on the after party.